But when you think about it, and I think we all want to know how that transition. Obviously, we all have our own perspective of what intelligence is. We've seen the Costner movies, we've seen the James Bond movies, and stuff like that. But what did both those careers in the service? How did they get you here?
Yeah, it's been a wild journey to say the least. So while I was in the military, actually, I had a slight arrhythmia, nothing major, that started, was monitoring it. It did eventually, get a little bit more serious. I went in and had something called an ablation done, minor procedure, um, had some post-procedure complications. The surgeon said he was only able to ablate for a few seconds because if he had done it any longer, it was so close to my AV node where he had to do it that there was potential he could have nicked my AV node and I would have had to get a pacemaker. Well, fast forward, post-procedure complications. I went from one base to another, higher altitude, and it got slightly worse. And so that's what ended up, then I ended up having to get a pacemaker. So I did my 12 years in the military. I would have done much longer, but hey, you just take life and roll with it, right? Because it's our life and our plan and our path is not up to us. So, my path just took me down a different route, and I'm very grateful that it did, and that I got out when I did, and that I was able to serve those 12 years. And the transition, though, was very hard for me. It was because I got out in New Mexico and I moved to Colorado. I was never stationed here, but I moved here, and they don't really set you up for success before you separate. And I joined when I was 20. I got out when I was 32. And that's a huge period of your life where you're growing as a young adult. And they don't really set you up for transitioning back into civilian life. Now, like when I was deployed, one of my deployments, we did convoy duty and we were in Germany for a couple weeks to get reintegrated back into society from being downrange to just being a normal human again, if you will. And that was very helpful because we were doing therapy classes every day, every morning. And then in the evenings, we had free time. So it was that shift, which was really, really nice. Now, when I got out of the military, it wasn't like that at all. It was pretty much, yep, one day you're wearing the uniform, the next day you're not. And I felt so lost. So my transition process, like I've seen a lot of other veterans, was very tough. It was challenging, and you go from this state of having the camaraderie and your brothers and sisters right there to lean on, and they've become your true family. Like I've learned true family doesn't need to be blood family at all. And that's been pretty much the majority of my life. Really kind of hit in about 2015 when my mom passed away. And that's when I really leaned into, the other veterans for support. And so having gotten out a handful of years later, I was just kind of in this state of limbo. Like, what is my purpose here? What am I doing? And so I went to nursing school because I have a true passion for helping people. And a lot of veterans get out and go into either nursing or become a first responder or police officer, any type of those fields, because it's like, again, a selfless service. And so I think that's why a lot of veterans tend to gravitate towards those types of careers. And so I went to nursing school, and COVID hit. And when COVID hit, I was in clinicals, they were put on pause. And then when they slowly started to reopen them, they required the vaccination. And I had a pacemaker. I already had a prior heart condition. So I told myself I would not get the vaccination. Well, they wouldn't approve a waiver, and I took that as another sign that this isn't my path. I'm just being diverted into something else that I'm meant to be. And that's when I took the deep dive into real estate investing. And the reason I chose that was because when I was in the military, I did a lot of digging into real estate and how to utilize the VA, the GI Bill also with the VA loan. So I went first with the GI Bill with the nursing. That didn't pan out. And then I was like, well, I have these other benefits over here. So I'm gonna dig into my VA loan. So that's what I had done when I was still active. I had a house custom built, lived in it, turned it into a rental property. I had moved to another base and kind of repeated that. So when I was in New Mexico, I had another house custom built, lived in it, and then rented it out. Still have that rental property. And it's just a beautiful model. So I knew there was another side to being an investor in real estate that I was not privy to besides just a house and all that. So I took a deep dive into it further, and just found other communities within real estate to lean on, and they kind of became more of like my support system. And so that transition process was really tough, and I had to find my own way, but I think that's also what makes you stronger is to just figure it out. I mean, when you're in the military, that's what you do. You have to be able to transition, you have to be flexible. And I took those skills from being in the military to just figure it out on the outside. So it took that leap of faith